And a brand new episode of Ready to Write. Now, much like the one from yesterday or a couple of days ago when I said this doesn't just apply to writing, this is one of those episodes. I mean, truth be told, many of these episodes can be applied to things other than just writing. And so, how we show up in one thing, how we show up in other things and all that good stuff. But this one in particular, so this one is called Consistency Trumps Talent. And you can apply this to anything that you are wanting to make a difference around. So we are going to explore it from the context of writing, because that's the the theme for the whole mini series. But just know that you can apply this to other areas of your life too. What this is really about is breaking down those excuses, because too often we will look around, if you go onto Amazon, for example, and do a search on either your genre or the topic that you're writing about, or something around there, you will find hundreds, if not thousands, of books around your topic. And if you're writing something really niche, for example, like the Youier book, there isn't a book about Youier, but there's loads of books about how to hear God. There's loads of books about how to be who you were created to be, even if they don't use those same words. So it'd be easy to go, oh, well, what's the point? It's all been said before, and actually maybe I'm not that good, and these people, they express themselves so well, and all of that stuff. Now, this is not, hear me on this is not a call to doing stuff mediocre. So yesterday, remember, we said that done is better than perfect, and there is an editing process. You can put the best possible work out there and have it be of a good quality. So this is not about just slapdash chucking anything out there. It's not about that. This is about breaking down the excuses that stop you from showing up, and stop you from showing up consistently. Consistency trumps talent. Now, for some of us who, I shared with you already, like the new and the shiny and the exciting, that's fun to me. The consistent slog, one thing after another, unless I change my language around it and actually find the fun in it, it can become a bit of a drag. And so showing up, doing these every day isn't a drag, because the topic feels fun and fresh, and then we're going to get to the end of October and then we're going to have a different topic. And so it consistently keeps it fresh, and it's different every time. And quite transparently, whilst I have a few notes, I often don't know what's going to come out of my mouth. It's really sort of led by Holy Spirit, and we sometimes go off on tangents. And so all of that to say that yes, whilst I am consistently showing up and doing these at the same sort of time every day, it's possible still to keep it fresh and exciting. And the same is true for you in your writing as well. But what we're really thinking about with consistency trumping talent, so there have been studies done. So yes, there are people in the world who are born with an innate talent for something. The example I'm going to give you is me and the clarinet. Now, I'm not going to win any awards for playing the clarinet. However, when I was in school, I was fairly decent at it. I did grade 8 clarinet, and actually playing the music came relatively easy to me. I could pick it up, and it was, let's be transparent, I could get away with not practicing often enough. However, when it came time to do my grade 8 clarinet, and I've got some of the music on the shelf here, and I looked at it a couple of weeks ago, and whoa, I managed to play that. Like, it is solid, as in like really, really difficult. Solid is a good Welsh word for hard, tricky. I'm like, whoa, how did I play that? And if I was feeling braver, I would pick up my clarinet and I'd try and play it now, and chances are I wouldn't be able to play it. However, if I consistently put some practice in, I would absolutely be able to play it. It would just take time to get back into it. So there's a balance here, because yes, some of us do have things that we are talented in. And yes, I want to encourage you to do those things that light you up and that you're excited about, those things that are your gifts. I'm not really one for sort of like trying to get better at the stuff that I find difficult, because that's quite exhausting. We explored in the Blue House on Tuesday in the Youier Games, stop doing lists, those things that either Holy Spirit's inviting us to stop doing, or those things that like just don't light us up. So I don't specifically want you to consistently practice something that is tedious to you, because that's no fun at all. However, I would maintain that there is pretty much anything that if you put enough effort into it and consistently showed up and did it, you'd be able to do it. Like I jokingly give the example of me being a prima ballerina. Now, the chances of me being a prima ballerina are pretty slim. Leaving aside my physique is not built to be a prima ballerina. I'm 44 and I've never been a ballerina before. However, part of me wants to believe that actually, do you know what? If I wanted it enough and I put the effort in and consistently showed up, anything is possible. This is really about breaking down excuses. I mean, quite transparently, I'm not going to be practicing and becoming a prima ballerina, but it's about showing up consistently, putting the effort in and doing it and making it possible. So the example that we keep using throughout this mini-series is me and that treadmill at 6 o'clock in the morning. I go on that treadmill for 20 minutes. 20 minutes and a few seconds by the time we press the button to turn it off. No, not a minute more and not a minute less. It's 20 minutes and we just get it done. You can, if you were to show up and write for 15, 20 minutes every single day, you would surprise yourself with how much you'd actually get done, built over time. I mean, I don't know what your average word count is. Don't even worry about that. But if you show up, and yes, some of those words are going to be better than others. Like some of the miles that I've put in on that treadmill are better than others. But the only person that you are competing with is yourself. You do not need to compare yourself to how much talent you think other people have got or how much better than anybody else you think anybody else is. Don't forget as well, the books, for example, that you read. Like we used the example of earlier on, if you were to go and look on Amazon, the books in your genre, that they would be loads on your topic. Don't forget, when you're looking at those books, you are seeing the finished book. You must not compare the writing that you're putting out there for your first draft with those finished books, because it's that quote that I love: don't compare your backstage area to everybody else's front of house. It's lethal. Please, please, please don't do it. You are going to get your words on the keyboard, get your words out onto the screen or write them out, get your words for that first draft done, and then you'll go back and you'll refine it and go through a process before you publish. And then you'll have other people going, oh, wow, that's amazing, I could never do something like that. The truth is, yes, they could. I maintain that anybody can write and publish a book. There are probably a few exceptions. There are probably people who go, yeah, but I'm dyslexic. Yeah, but I can't do this. Even those folks who perhaps find it difficult to read, there are other ways you can do this. And remember as well, of course, we have been talking about, writing, but there's nothing to stop you dictating your words. So if you're somebody who actually finds it much easier to speak those words out, there's nothing to stop you. There's loads of technology. I haven't got lots of resources written down because I didn't know we were going here, but otter.ai is the one that comes to mind. So one of the books, there was a series of books Youier Media published, the And Us series with Carolyn Street. One of those books, I think it was the first one, I wrote a chapter for, it was the first one, Anxiety in Us. And for whatever reason, although I've written loads of stuff before, my usual processes weren't really cutting it. I was feeling a bit of a block. So I was like, okay, we're going to have to do this differently. And so I had Otter on my phone and I paced around my house delivering, in my head, I was delivering a keynote speech around the topic that I was exploring. Now, did I need to go back and edit it? Of course I did. Stumbling over my words, poor turn of phrase, all of that stuff. Yes, I needed to edit it. But once you've got those words down, however you get them down, once you've got those words down, yes, it will still take time. I mean, it never fails to amaze me. I get my first draft done. I get it, to a state where I think, yeah, I'm finished. And it still takes as long then to get published because there's so many bits and pieces behind the scenes that you need to work through. But the biggest obstacle, from my experience at least, and from people I speak to, the biggest obstacle is that first draft. So however you need to do it, show up. You absolutely can use different technologies to help you. And I have had that experience. Like I say, I was pacing around the house like I was delivering a keynote speech. And at the end of it, I had however many thousand words transcribed while I was talking. Equally, there are, you could do it as a voice note and pay somebody to transcribe it for you. There's different ways you can do this. But do not let the I don't think I can do it get in the way of it. Or more importantly, don't let everybody else is better than me get in the way of that. I'm just checking my notes because I had a few notes for today. Yes, so we mentioned earlier on that the only person you're competing with is you. And at the same time, remember what we explored a few weeks ago or a few episodes ago, you don't need to break records every single time. So I remember, again, my treadmill is the example of this. So I only started last week when we started these episodes. So apparently it's all part of this. Who knows? But every single day I was wanting to do a minute a little bit faster. And so by the end of the week, I was running for a minute, walking for a minute, running for a minute, walking for a minute. Came around on Monday and I'm like, oh, I really don't want to do that today. It just felt a lot. And so I didn't. I gave myself permission to go slow. I gave myself permission to be kind to myself, and I simply showed up. There are going to be days when you simply need to show up and get it done, whatever that looks like. With that reminder as well, there are going to be occasions where you're injured. Now, I'm using air quotes for that word injured. What I mean by that is there's going to be things, like you might actually physically be injured. You might wake up one morning and your hands are really sore, for example. But I also mean injured in terms of circumstances getting in the way. So my example of this was literally this morning. I was about 30 seconds off from finishing my 20 minutes and I heard a pip, tip, tip noise. And I'm looking down at my feet and my shoelace had come undone. I don't know why, but one of my big fears is falling over my shoelaces. If I see a kid with the shoelaces undone and they're running, I'm like, no, I'm like on pins, like, it just does my head in. And at the same time, I only had 30 seconds left. I didn't really want to stop. I wanted to do the 30 seconds. So what did I do? I turned the speed down and I walked very carefully for the last 30 seconds, simply to get it done. So there are going to be occasions where you need to make adjustments for whatever's going on in your day-to-day life. Do that. Be kind to yourself, but keep showing up and do it. And yes, by all means, make the rules that suit you. So if you don't want to write on a weekend, then don't write on a weekend. What I will say is actually showing up every single day, it builds momentum. So if you can find 15 minutes on a Saturday and a Sunday, then great. But not if having that Saturday and Sunday helps you. You get to set the game as you want to play it. So another little game I played with myself today. Remember I told you on Friday I was running a minute, walking a minute, and I noticed that was really good for my lungs and stuff. And I was like, oh, but I really don't want to run. Quite honestly, this is probably too much information, but I go on the treadmill in my pajamas and no sports bra. And let's just say that therefore you need to have a sports bra on if you're a female woman, most of us, otherwise it gets quite uncomfortable to run. I was wearing a sports bra on Friday and it worked great. But today, when you're getting up at 6 o'clock, that's why I literally get up, I'm in my PJs, I put on a pair of socks and the trainers and I'm there doing it. It's like, I don't really want to be running and yet I still want to do something that's good for my heart and good for my lungs. And then I had an idea. And so I tried for the last, I think it was about 10 minutes or so, I put the incline up to the highest, I think it was like 12%, for a minute, and then, oh my word, that was hard going, but kept the speed going the same, and then put it back to nothing to recover for a minute, then put it back up to 12% and did it for a minute and a half, and then put it back down to recover. What's my point? My point is you get to play this game however it best suits you. You get to challenge yourself. You get to help yourself keep it fun. Find the fun in this. Yes, there are days where it's going to be like, ugh, I don't want to. Find the fun. Be like Mary Poppins and find the fun. If you haven't seen the film Mary Poppins, you've got no idea what I'm talking about. There's a quote, for every job that must be done, there is an element of fun. You find the fun and then snap, the job's a game. I was reminded of this on Tuesday. It came up in conversation in the Blue House as well. So I love how these things all play together. But do what you need to do so that you can show up, because you showing up every single day, consistently doing this, even for that 10, 15 minutes a day, you will write a very long book within 6 months, 8 months, 9 months, a year. If you want to do it for longer, then absolutely, that's fine. I'm not saying that you must only do it for 10, 15 minutes. But this is really for those people for whom, oh, I don't have enough time, is one of the reasons that gets in the way. You do not need to break any records with this. I would far rather you take a year to write your book and then it's done and published than wait for the perfect time to get it done quickly, because it's never going to happen. Which would you rather do? Get it done in a year and it's done, or get it done in never because you're waiting for the perfect time? That's my point with this. So yes, you can do it faster. I'm not saying it has to take a year. And at the same time, do what you need to do so it definitely gets done, because consistency will trump talent every single time. What's your plaything from this? That's a very good question. Your plaything is to explore this within the context of you being you. What does it look like for you to show up consistently? How can you show up consistently? What time of day do you need? Does it mean getting up half an hour earlier and doing it first thing before everybody wakes up? If you're an early bird like me, brilliant, that would be great. However, if you're a night owl, that's going to feel like sort of treading through, I don't know, treacle. It'll be so difficult. It doesn't have to be, incidentally. You could tell yourself a story around it and make it fun. But why not work with who you are? Work with your energy levels. So if you're somebody who finds himself energized and wide awake at 9, 10 o'clock at night, do it then. That would be my worst nightmare. To be quite honest, I'm ready for bed by 9 o'clock. I'm quite often in bed by 9:30. You need to work within the context of who you are, but don't let excuses get in your way. So yes, you are brilliant and wonderful, and there is something that needs to be out there in the world that's your message to deliver. Do what you need to do. Explore what that looks like. How can you show up consistently? Set the rules of your own game and have fun with it. So that's what I have for you today. Go and explore it with that reminder as well, of course. We do have the Rainbow Room inside the Blue House. So if you want a space for accountability as well as the practical stuff, like, how do I publish my book? What does that look like? The software and all of that good stuff. I would encourage you to come and join us in the Rainbow Room. Youier.com/Rainbow Room, or Rainbow-Room, I think it's Rainbow Room, is where you can find out more about that. The doors are always open. We have training videos that are being built out over time, and we have Zoom open hours at 1 p.m. UK time on a Wednesday to answer your questions. And those times are unstructured. It's really about, okay, what's going on right now? So that's just my little reminder for you as well. We'll be back tomorrow with the final episode for this week. And in the meantime, have a lovely day. If you know someone who would benefit from this, please do share it with them. And I look forward to catching up with you very, very soon.